We're going to take one of these boring, old, tired-ass cryptids. We're going to make them more interesting, more fresh. We need to get more people behind these. We're not going to talk about Bigfoot or the Chupacabra or whatever. People like these ones, more or less. We're going to take
Yeah,
these.
not this
We're going
week.
to take these ratchety old, decrepit cryptids that kind of, they don't get much play. We're going to spruce them up a bit.
Definitely.
I am going to start, unless my partner has anything else he'd like to say.
Nope, that sounds perfect. I'm excited to get into this one because I have a lot of loose leaf notes that I'm going to try to fly through, but I definitely want to hear your take first because you have a very interesting cryptid.
Exactly right. So my cryptid today is the skunk ape. Now, some of you familiar may say, Nicholas, isn't this just stinky Bigfoot? Yes, but
Yes, it is.
Bigfoot's got a presence. It's got a book this year by Max Brooks. He's making a comeback. And if you live in the Pacific Northwest, he never left. There's Bigfoots everywhere. And that's just a fact. You may not know this name of the skunk ape. He is also known as the swamp cabbage man. I'm going to let that one simmer. The swamp cabbage man. Now, is he made of swamp cabbage? Or is he a cabbage man that lives in the swamp? It's really hard to say. But I think it just means that he's stinky and he looks like cabbage. I don't know. But that is a name that is basically doomed this cryptid to fail. So, a couple things about him. He's a little bit shorter than Bigfoot, which is, really kind of lame. He's like Bigfoot. He's just smaller. He's like a less cool Bigfoot, just inherently. He is, however, this big rusty red color. Bigfoot's brown. You got the Yetis, kind of like a white furred Bigfoot. So he's kind of red, and the red kind of I like because it kind of stands out from the swamp that he lives in, which I believe is like the Louisiana area, the South, and that coloring is really good. So I don't want to touch that. We also know he stinks to high heaven. Skunk ape. Skunks don't smell good typically.
Neither do gorillas.
That's true. Another little detail, he's got this pale coloration on his face like a gibbon, which makes him seem more closely related to said monkeys than Bigfoot seems more just like a different line of Homo sapiens that's, not developed intelligence. So, how do we make this stinky cabbage man cool?
I don't know, Nick. How do we do it?
First thing, we give them access to Dior's Fahrenheit line of eau de toilette. So this fragrance features Sicilian mandarin, violet, and leather. Now, it's a very masculine smell, but with the violet kind of softens it up a bit. And I think that is the big drawback of the skunk ape. It's just too harsh. Too harsh. So we're going to give it, that manly musk, with like this Russian leather smell, Sicilian mandarin, with, a less sweet orange, a very mature scent. But it's not going to hurt your nose as much with this violet. It softens the blow while still blowing, if you catch my drift.
Strong choice. I like
now,
it.
He's not bigger than Bigfoot. He's not taller than him. We've got to settle that right now. And we can't give him like pumps or anything. That'd be unreasonable. He lives in a swamp. We are going to get him into the gym, and we're going to make him so buff. It is going to make up for the fact that he's so much shorter. And that's perfect because that's what people do in real life. We already have the solution to one of his biggest problems. People don't fear the skunk ape because it's like, oh, he's this stinky short fella. I mean, he's probably 5'10". He's like, oh, that's the average height. Well, whatever. We're going to make him so ripped, he won't be able to touch his neck. You're minding your business, in the swamp, and you just hear, doo, 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 doo. And you turn, and this big, buff, hairy dude smells like Dior. He's just sprinting full at you. That is terrifying. The final thing is, he can't be known as the Swamp Cabbage Man, but we're going to change it to the Swamp Ravage Man. And just that name, just imagine like, oh, watch out for the Swamp Ravage Man. What? That's terrifying. You have a swamp ravage, man? That's going to let anyone know that if they get close to him, he's going to beat the shit out of them.
You're going to get ravaged.
Exactly. And I think that's all it takes. You give him a little spritz, you give him some dumbbells, and you just change the branding. Because as everyone knows, branding makes perfect.
God, what does Don Draper say? I believe the line goes, if you don't like the conversation, change the conversation. And that's exactly what you're doing with the skunk ape. You don't like that he's called the skunk ape. You don't like that he's so short. We're changing it. He's short because he's buff as hell, and now he smells like Dior.
Exactly.
Beautiful job. I love it. My cryptid this week is going to be the Bear Lake Monster. For a little background, for anyone who doesn't know the Bear Lake Monster, as most people I'm sure don't, the Bear Lake Monster exists in the Bear Lake, which is on the border of Utah and Idaho. Now, I bet you're wondering, Bear Lake Monster, he must be some sort of giant bear.
He must be.
Basically, he's a giant crocodile or alligator. Don't remember the difference, but unnecessary as he's a cryptid, and he is basically a giant of one of those scaly creatures. So I'm sorry to disappoint, but we're going to fix that very shortly.
Ooh.
Another fun fact, the history about the Bear Lake Monster is that a lot of the Bear Lake Monster descriptions came from a journalist who would just hear stories from people. This is way back, probably 1800s. 19th century, yep, 1800s. And as you know, Utah, a bit of a Mormon sanctuary. So, the journalist was actually Mormon. I have his name here. It is Joseph C. Rich.
The Joseph.
He was a Mormon colonizer of Utah, and he would just gather all these wives' tales about some sort of giant Bear Lake monster that seems to resemble a crocodile, apparently. And he would put them in his papers so he could fill up. I'm sure he was like, I gotta fill up column B, Bear Lake Monster. And that just kind of became a running thing for him. So I thought it would be cool if maybe we played with history a little bit, because Bear Lake Monster, that isn't really a bear, that's misleading. You don't want to tell people we're going to Disneyland and then you show up at Six Flags. Maybe they didn't want to ride amazing roller coasters. Maybe they wanted to see Mickey. So, Bear Lake Monster is now renamed Vivian. My choice of Vivian is because I'm assuming Joseph had multiple wives, and Vivian was his least favorite.
Oh.
So, Joseph took it upon himself to name this giant monstrous beast after his least favorite wife, Vivian. And now I want to just augment a little bit of reality in regards to its physical appearance. So, I love crocodiles. I love alligators. As I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And, yeah, exactly.
Great animals.
Oh, the best. Nature's true killing machine. F the sharks. I thought, why are we going to change his appearance? Well, he's in the Bear Lake. We have to change his appearance, but I don't want to just make him a bear. So I thought what would be interesting would be if we augmented his scales a bit, or her scales. I don't want to judge. Vivian now has scales that can flip over when it gets close to the surface. As you know, they like to hover above the water with their eyes and nostrils. I was thinking, you know what? Let's just make it so when it hovers on the water, it flips its scales. Now it kind of looks like fur, so maybe they think it's a bear, part of the defense mechanism and or, hunting mechanisms. They get close enough. Oh, is that driftwood? Is that a bear? I'm not really sure. It looks like fur. Gets close enough out of the water. Flip the scales. Aerodynamic. It's gonna eat you. You're done, son. No more stories about Vivian. Only the legends. And those were my two primary additions to Vivian, because Vivian comes from Utah. I wanted to add that into its history a little more because it seemed kind of disconnected from its own homeland.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to, just change its hunting ability a bit, because it seems to me like Vivian right now is just aquatic primarily, despite being a crocodile gator. So I thought it'd be neat to, augment that a little bit, like Lake Placid it up. But instead of being a very obvious giant crocodile, maybe it's just driftwood. Maybe it's just random fur, like all the beavers in the world are shedding right now and they gathered up into a clump. But instead, it's just going to be Vivian chomping on your booty. I
love that.
Thanks,
it plays into more of the state, its biome in two ways, with Vivian, the name being, and the fact that,
Hell yeah.
being a big mammal, which is more common to places like Utah and Idaho. Gators aren't common up there.
Mhm.
And like the scales flipping to be more, or like some sort of, natural illusion to look like fur is like so cool. It's like, this isn't just, the doom of all cryptids is that most of them are just big somethings.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like, it makes its own thing. And I really, really like that bit.
I'm super into it. I might write a Vivian story now, just based on this.
I will not write
really
a
love
skunk ape story.
What? You can sell that to Adventure Time or regular show in a second.
It would cost too much
They'll be like, we want
to buy the Dior.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Dumbbell's pretty cheap. Dior.
Ooh, man, it's like $75 for a sample tube. I mean, I suppose they last a while, but still.
That was a great section. I had a lot of fun with that one.
I really like that one because it really, it's like we're trying to sell the cryptids. It's like we're going to the angelic board of creatures, and we're like, ABC, please. Can you adjust this dinky ass boring alligator?
Yeah, can you please add some fur?
and that's fun. All right. Well, that's the end of CrptoCOOLology.